At the family dinner, Mom smiled and announced, "Your brother will take your room because he needs more space." As I was about to speak, Dad yelled, "Agree or get out of this house!" I didn't argue. I just smiled. 1 week later, I bought the house across the street, watched them fall apart, and said, "Good morning," every day. My brother was moving back home at 32 after his third failed startup. Before that, it was a cryptocurrency scheme. Before that, a dropshipping business that lasted 6 weeks. My parents still called him entrepreneurial. I was 27, working remotely for a San Francisco tech company while living in my childhood bedroom, paying them $200 a month in rent. My parents assumed I made $45,000 doing computer stuff. I actually made $180,000 as a senior software engineer. They never asked about promotions or projects. Too busy planning my brother's comeback strategy. For 3 years, I'd been stacking every single paycheck. No car payments on my 2009 Honda. No student loans. I'd worked through college. No nights out. I worked 60-hour weeks. Just pure, methodical savings. My account had $210,000 in it. The announcement came on a Sunday. Hot pot roast and passive aggression. My brother needed the bigger room for his home office setup to launch startup number 4. Some AI chatbot thing he'd been talking about for months. My dad's ultimatum was clear. Move to the basement guest room or get out. The basement flooded every spring and smelled like mildew year-round. I just smiled, finished my pot roast, and went upstairs. That night, I opened my laptop and pulled up Zillow. The Colonial across the street had been listed for 6 days at $340,000. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, wraparound porch, and a perfect view of my parents' living room window. I called the agent at 9:15 p.m. She sounded surprised to hear from anyone that late. "The property on Maple Street. I'll pay $355,000, all cash. Close in 5 days. No inspection, no contingencies." There was a long pause. "Are you serious?" "Wire instructions by morning. I can have funds transferred by noon." She called back at 7 o'clock a.m. to confirm. By 10 o'clock a.m., I'd moved $355,000 from my savings. By Wednesday, I was signing closing documents at a title company while my parents thought I was on a work haul. My parents spent the week helping my brother move his gaming setup, his whiteboard covered in business strategies, and his collection of self-help books into my old room. My mom even bought him new curtains, navy blue, masculine, professional. I spent it coordinating with movers, setting up utilities, and buying furniture online, all from my laptop in the basement room I'd already mentally left. On moving day, the truck arrived at 6 o'clock a.m. I'd hired professional movers, the kind with a big logo on the side. My dad came outside in his bathrobe, coffee mug in hand, confused. "What's going on? Where are you going?" I pointed across the street, where the movers were unloading my new couch. "There, that's my house now." My mom came running out, still in her slippers. "What do you mean your house?" "I bought it. Closed on Friday." My dad's face went from confusion to shock to anger in about 3 seconds. "With what money?" "You don't have that kind of money." "Actually, I do. Saved up." My brother appeared in the doorway of what used to be my room, looking down at us from the second-floor window. For once, he had nothing to say. "How much do you even make?" my mom asked, her voice cracking. "Enough," I said. "Good luck with the comeback." That was 4 months ago. Week 1, they pretended I didn't exist. Week 2, my brother's AI startup collapsed when he realized he needed actual developers. Week 3, my dad knocked on my door asking about the home buying process because they were thinking of refinancing. Month 2, my brother lost $30,000 on a crypto trade he made at 2 a.m. I know because he posted about it online before deleting it. My parents had co-signed on his business loan. On a Thursday evening, my dad knocked on my door for the second time since I'd moved in. He was carrying a manila folder. He sat down at my kitchen table, same spot my mom had sat weeks before, and slid it toward me without a word. Inside was a life insurance policy. His. Taken out 18 years ago. He'd been paying into it quietly, never mentioned it, never made it a thing. The beneficiary line had 2 names, mine and my brother's, 50-50. He tapped the folder and said, "I'm thinking about changing it." I waited. He said my brother needed a reason to get serious, a real one, and that maybe this was the way to do it. I stared at him for a long moment, not sure if I was hearing what I thought I was hearing. He looked tired in a way I'd never seen from him before, like something had already been decided. He closed the folder, and then he said, "I already talked to the lawyer this morning. There's just one problem that came up." I didn't say anything, just looked at him. He rubbed his face with both hands, the way people do when they're buying time to figure out how to say something they don't want to say. "The policy has a co-ownership clause," he said. "Both beneficiaries have to sign off on any changes to the split." I didn't know that when I set it up. Lawyer flagged it yesterday. I let that sit for a second. "So you need his signature?" "Yeah, and that's the problem." He nodded, didn't elaborate, just closed the folder, stood up, and walked to the door. He stopped with his hand on the knob. "Thanks for hearing me out," he said. Then he left. I sat there staring at the folder on my table for a good 10 minutes. At first, I thought the problem was obvious. My brother would never agree to get cut out of a life insurance policy. Of course he wouldn't. That wasn't complicated. But then something clicked. The way my dad said it. The way he didn't explain the problem. The way he just left. My brother would only be a problem if he already knew about the policy. Nobody told me about it until tonight. I opened my laptop and started going back through everything I knew about my brother's finances. The 3 failed businesses, the crypto loss, the loans my parents kept bailing him out on. I'd always assumed he had investors, or credit cards, or some trust fund I didn't know about. My parents weren't rich, but they weren't broke either. Middle class comfortable, retirement accounts, a paid-off mortgage, decent savings. Except I'd never actually seen proof of any outside money going into his ventures. The next morning I was on my porch with my coffee, just scrolling through emails, when I heard voices carrying from across the street. My parents' driveway. The garage door was open and I could see both of them standing near my dad's car. My mom's voice was the one I heard first. She wasn't yelling exactly, but it was that tight, controlled anger that's somehow worse than yelling. "You can't keep pulling from the joint account without telling me," she said. "I went to pay the electric bill yesterday and we're down to $4,000. $4,000 after what you wired him last month." I set my coffee down on the porch railing. My dad said something back, but his voice was lower. I couldn't make it out. "It's not about supporting him," my mom snapped. "It's about the amount." I sat down last night and went through the statements. "Do you know how much we've given him in the last 6 years? $90,000. 90. I just sat there, didn't move. $90,000. My mom kept going. "The first business, the drop shipping thing, that was 12,000. Then the crypto fund, that was 22. Then the app idea, another 15. And now this AI thing, he's already into us for 18 and he hasn't even launched yet. When does it stop?" My dad said something I couldn't hear again. "I'm not saying we abandon him," my mom said, and her voice cracked a little. "I'm saying we can't keep doing this. We're supposed to retire in 8 years. We have $64,000 left in savings, that's it. We were supposed to have 3 times that by now." The garage door started closing. I heard my mom's voice one more time, muffled now. "I'm tired of lying to people about why we can't go on trips anymore." Then silence. I sat there for another 20 minutes, didn't touch my coffee, just stared at my laptop screen without really seeing it. $90,000 over 6 years. That night I pulled up the business registration records. You can find that stuff online if you know where to look. My brother had filed 4 LLCs in the last 7 years, all under his name, all listing my parents' address as the principal location. I clicked through each one. No investors listed, no venture capital, no angel funding, just dissolution dates and tax debts. The money came from my parents, all of it, and nobody ever thought to mention that to me. I screenshotted everything and saved it to a folder on my desktop. Didn't know what I was going to do with it yet, just felt like something I needed to keep. 2 days later, on a Saturday morning, I was out front pulling weeds from the garden bed near my porch when I saw my brother walking across the street, hands in his pockets, casual stride, like he was just out for a walk. He came right up my driveway. "Hey," he said. "Hey." He looked around, nodded at the house. "This place looks good. You've done a lot with it." "Thanks. How's the neighborhood?" he asked. "Pretty quiet?" "Yeah, quiet." He rocked back on his heels a little, glanced down the street. "I've been thinking about getting back into running. You know, like I used to do in high school. This street's pretty good for it. Flat, not much traffic." "Yeah, it's flat." He stood there for another minute, made some comment about how the weather had been nice lately, said he liked the color I'd painted the shutters. Then he said, "Anyway, just wanted to say hi. See how you're settling in. Appreciate it." He walked back across the street. I watched him go inside. The whole conversation couldn't have been more than 12 minutes. He didn't ask how I was doing, didn't mention the family, didn't bring up the life insurance policy, the room, the argument at dinner 4 months ago. Nothing. I couldn't figure out if that meant something or if it meant nothing at all. That week I kept thinking about the timing. My brother filed his latest LLC, the AI thing, back in October, 4 months ago. I started thinking about my dad around that same time. October, November, the holidays. At Thanksgiving, my dad had been moving slower. I noticed it but didn't think much of it. He was gripping the stair railing tighter when he came down to dinner. Took him longer to get up from the couch. I just figured he was getting older. 61. That's what happens. But there were other things too, now that I was thinking about it. He tripped getting out of his car in early December, caught himself on the door, played it off like there was ice on the driveway, but it was 50 degrees that day. No ice. And my mom's voice, sharper than usual whenever she asked him if he'd taken his medication. She asked him that a lot. At dinner, before bed, in the morning, over coffee. I pulled up the LLC registration again, filed October 14th, right around the time my dad started slowing down. I saved the document to the same folder as the others. Didn't know why, just did. A week later, my phone rang at 11 p.m. My mom. "We're at the hospital," she said. Her voice was shaking. "Your dad had some kind of episode. We're in the ER." I was there in 20 minutes. They had him in a bed in one of those curtained-off sections, monitors beeping, IV in his arm. My mom was standing near the foot of the bed, arms crossed tight across her chest. The doctor came in a few minutes after I got there. Young guy, maybe 30, white coat, tired eyes. We think it was a TIA, he said. A transient ischemic attack. Basically a mini-stroke. His symptoms have resolved, but we want to keep him for 48 hours. Run some tests, adjust his medications, make sure it doesn't happen again. My dad waved his hand like it was no big deal. They're being dramatic. I'm fine. You're not fine, my mom said. You couldn't feel your left arm for 10 minutes. It's fine now. The doctor left. Said he'd check back in a few hours. I sat down in the chair next to the bed. My mom stayed standing, kept looking toward the hallway like she was waiting for someone. You doing okay? I asked my dad. Yeah, just tired. He shifted in the bed, pulled the blanket higher. Doctors always overreact to this stuff. I stayed for about an hour. My dad fell asleep halfway through, so I just sat there scrolling my phone while my mom paced near the door. When I got up to leave, a nurse stopped me in the hallway. Middle-aged woman, scrubs with little cartoon cats on them. You're his son? She asked. Yeah, someone else was here earlier, she said. Another family member, younger guy, tall, dark hair. He was asking a lot of questions about your dad's medication schedule, insurance coverage, what's covered, what's not. I thought it was just normal family stuff, you know, people trying to stay informed. Something cold settled in my chest. What time was he here? I asked. Around 9, maybe a little after. I thanked her and walked out to my car. Sat there in the parking lot for a while before I drove home. The next day I called my dad's lawyer. I didn't have the number memorized, but it was on the life insurance paperwork my dad had left on my kitchen table a few weeks ago. The receptionist answered. I told her I needed to speak with him about my father's estate planning. She put me through. This is Bill Henshaw, he said. Hi, this is about my father, I said. I gave him my dad's name. I have a question. Has a power of attorney document been filed recently? Long pause. I can't confirm or deny that without client consent. Okay, another pause. Then his voice got quieter. Ask your dad in person. Soon. He hung up. I sat there holding my phone for a minute. Then I set it down on the counter and just stared at the wall. I didn't call my dad that night. Didn't go over to the hospital. I just sat in my living room with the lights off, looking out the window at my parents' house across the street. The TV was on in their living room. I could see the flicker of it through the curtains. My mom was probably home by now. My dad was still in the hospital for another night. I didn't know what I was waiting for, maybe for it to make sense. But it already made sense. I just didn't want it to. The next morning, my dad knocked on my door. It was 7:30 a.m. I'd just gotten out of the shower, was still in a towel when I heard the knock. I threw on some clothes and opened the door. He looked terrible. Eyes red, hair going in different directions, wearing the same flannel shirt he'd had on 2 days ago. Can I come in? I stepped aside. He walked straight to the kitchen table and sat down. Same chair as last time. He didn't bring the manila folder this time, just his hands, which he kept rubbing together like he was trying to warm them up, even though it was already 70 degrees outside. I signed something last week, he said, not looking at me, looking at the table. I'm not sure I should have signed it. I sat down across from him. Your brother brought me some papers, he continued. Said it was just a formality, for the loan we co-signed on. He said the bank needed it to restructure the debt, make the payments lower. He said it was standard procedure and I just needed to sign. What did you sign? I don't know. He had it notarized at the UPS store, the one over on Greenfield Road. He drove me there. We went inside. The notary lady was waiting. I signed it. He took it with him. Do you have a copy? No. I pulled my laptop over and opened it. Went to the county website. I'd been looking at property records the week before for something else and stumbled onto the notary database by accident. I typed in my dad's name. It pulled up immediately. Power of attorney. Filed 6 days ago. Notarized at the UPS store on Greenfield Road. My brother's name was listed as the authorized agent for both of my parents. I turned the screen so my dad could see it. He stared at it. His face went pale. What does that mean? He asked. It means if you become incapacitated, he makes all your financial decisions for you. Bank accounts, investments, property, everything. He has full legal authority. My dad didn't say anything for a long time, just kept staring at the screen. Then he put his head in his hands. I didn't know that, he said. He told me it was for the loan. I know. He sat there, face still in his hands, shoulders shaking a little, not crying, just overwhelmed. I printed the document. Then I pulled up a website I'd bookmarked 2 days ago, an elder law attorney's office downtown. I hadn't made an appointment yet, just saved the number. I called it. The receptionist answered. I told her I needed a consultation as soon as possible regarding a questionable power of attorney document. She said they had an opening that afternoon at 3:00 p.m. I took it. Come with me, I told my dad. The attorney's office was on the 3rd floor of a building downtown, corner unit with big windows overlooking the park. Her name was Janet Ruiz, mid-50s, sharp gray suit, the kind of handshake that tells you she doesn't waste time on bullshit. We sat down. I handed her the printed document. She read through it. Took maybe 2 minutes. Then she set it down and looked at my dad. When did you sign this? She asked. Last Tuesday. And what were you told it was for? Loan restructuring. My son told me the bank needed it. Did anyone explain to you what a power of attorney actually authorizes? No, she nodded, made a note on a legal pad. This is a durable power of attorney with broad financial authority. It gives your son complete control over every financial decision you make if you're deemed incapacitated by a doctor. Depending on how it's interpreted, it can also allow him to act on your behalf even if you're not incapacitated. My dad looked like he might throw up. Can I undo it? He asked. You can revoke it, Janet said. You have that right. But if your son challenges the revocation, it becomes a legal matter, especially if there's already been financial activity under the POA. There hasn't been, I said. Not yet? She looked at me. How do you know? Because 3 weeks ago he tried to block a beneficiary change on a life insurance policy using a co-ownership clause. If he'd had POA access then, he wouldn't have needed the clause, he would have just blocked it outright. Janet nodded slowly. That's good. That gives us a window. A window for what? My dad asked. To argue undue influence, she said. If you signed this document without understanding its scope, and if there's evidence your son misrepresented its purpose to get you to sign, a court can invalidate it. But we need to move fast. How fast? I'd recommend filing a petition for judicial review by end of week. The longer this sits, the harder it becomes to prove you didn't know what you were signing. My dad looked at me. Do we have to go to court? Probably, Janet said. But I can file the petition and request a temporary freeze on any financial accounts the POA would give him access to. That way, even if he tries to use it, he can't do anything until the court makes a decision. My dad was quiet for a minute. Then he said, okay, let's do it. Janet said she'd have the paperwork ready in 3 days. When we left, my dad stopped on the sidewalk outside the building, just stood there looking at the ground. I'm sorry, he said. For what? For not seeing it. For not asking you about any of this sooner. He trailed off. For a lot of things. I didn't know what to say, so I just nodded. He got in his car and drove home. I stood there on the sidewalk for a while, watching the traffic go by. Then I went home. The petition was filed on Friday. My brother got official notice by courier on Sunday morning. That afternoon, he showed up at my door. He didn't knock. He pounded on it. 3 heavy slams that rattled the frame. I opened the door. His face was red, jaw tight, eyes hard. You're really going to do this? He said, voice shaking. Over a piece of paper? After everything they've done for you? They've done things for you too, I said. $90,000 worth. His expression changed, just for a second. A flicker of surprise before the anger came back. That's different, he said. How? Because I needed it. I was trying to build something. You didn't need anything. You've been fine this whole time. You've always been fine. And you've always needed saving. He stepped closer. For a second, I thought he might actually take a swing at me. His fists were clenched. His whole body was tense. But he didn't. He just stood there, breathing hard, staring at me like I was someone he didn't recognize anymore. You know what? He said, voice quieter now, almost calm. You deserve to be alone in that house. You deserve exactly what you're going to get. Then he turned around and walked away. I closed the door, stood there for a minute listening to my own heartbeat. Then I went back to my laptop. The legal review moved faster than I expected. Janet filed a motion to freeze my parents' joint bank accounts pending the outcome of the review, citing the timing of the POA and the lack of informed consent. The judge granted it within a week. My brother hired his own attorney, some guy from a firm 2 towns over. I didn't know how he was paying for it at first. Then I found out. Janet called me on a Tuesday morning. Your brother withdrew $8,000 from your parents' joint account 2 days before the freeze went into effect, she said. I'm filing a supplemental motion this afternoon showing it as evidence of financial exploitation. How did you find out? Bank records. Your dad gave me access yesterday. The withdrawal happened at 11:47 p.m. on Thursday. ATM withdrawal split across 2 transactions because of the daily limit. I didn't say anything. The judge isn't going to like this, Janet said. She was right. 2 days later, the judge issued a written order. The power of attorney was invalidated effective immediately. The ruling was 3 pages. The part that mattered was on page 2. The signer did not demonstrate informed consent regarding the scope of authority being transferred. The notary record indicates the document was executed in under 5 minutes with no evidence of independent legal consultation. The circumstances surrounding the execution, including the location, the timing in relation to the signer's recent health episode, and subsequent financial activity by the authorized agent, suggest undue influence and misrepresentation of material fact. My brother's attorney withdrew from the case the same day, and just like that, the co-ownership clause on the life insurance policy didn't matter anymore. My dad could change the beneficiary split without my brother's signature. He made the change the next morning, called the insurance company from Janet's office, filled out the forms, signed them in front of a notary who actually explained what he was signing. The split went from 50-50 to 85-15. My brother would still get something, but not half. That night, my phone rang around 9:30 p.m. My dad. I answered. I wanted to thank you, he said. You don't have to. I do. You didn't have to help me. You could have just let it happen. Let him take it all. Nobody would have blamed you after everything. You're my dad. The line went quiet for a long time. I could hear him breathing on the other end. Slow, steady breaths like he was trying to keep himself together. I'm sorry, he said finally. I know. I mean it. For all of it. For the dinner, for the room, for not seeing what was happening, for not asking you about your life, for assuming you'd always just be okay with everything. I didn't say anything, didn't know what to say. Anyway, he said, I just wanted you to know, that's all. Okay, good night, good night. I hung up and walked to the window. Across the street, the light in my old bedroom was still on. Thanks for watching till the end. Make sure to like and subscribe to not miss the next story.